Okay, so we're working on a pastel animal at the moment and we're wanting to put as much detail in as possible. So you can see how I've put a masking tape border around the outside to protect it. You want to make sure the first thing you do is actually work from the background. If you've got something like, if your animal covers the entire page, you work from the fur through to you do the face last. All that detail absolutely needs to be last. So I'm working on a blue and gold macaw here. And you can see that I've already started the background, but I'm just adding a little bit of white. Now this stuff is very messy. You want to really avoid touching areas that you've already worked on. You can deliberately smudge with your fingers, but if you're right-handed, make sure you start from the left and work to the right. I'm left-handed, so I actually start from the right and move through to the left, because that way I can be really careful about not putting my hand on the work I've already done. Okay, one of the other things you need to be aware of is that colours are not always the way they seem. In the photograph, okay, my macaw has a black beak, but when I look really closely, he actually has highlights of blue right in the edge, and underneath his beak he actually has highlights and lighting that's pink and purple. So some of those sections you may want to add your highlighting first because you don't want to mess it up. The other thing you would have just noticed is that there's not just one colour in an eye. If you've got a reflective eye in your photograph, you need to have a really careful look into that eye. Okay, the main colour of my macaw's eye is a light green, but there's also tiny little bits of darker green, there's tiny little bits of brown right near the pupil, and under the eyelid you often have a shadow, and that's something that everyone often forgets. Just under the eyelid, which my macaw doesn't have, but a lot of other people's artwork will have. If you've got a horse or a wolf, they often have quite large eyelids, and you can actually see that shadow on the eyeball itself. Okay, so you can see I've put the pupil in. You can see that that is now the highlight of my artwork at this point. You can see in this part now I'm starting to put those really vibrant details in the face. One thing that really makes a macaw stand out is that feathering that's on the face. Now a lot of people are really scared of the feathering or the fur on the artwork, but honestly, if you have a look at this, I'm laying down my base colour first. I usually lay down a darker colour first. In this case, so I went the lighter colour, and then I've added the little dark highlights of the shadowing for each feather, and then I work back over the top of it with some details. See how I've made it really dark? It's better to go dark and then put the lighter stuff back over the top. This works, honestly, chalk pastel and soft pastel works a lot better if you actually work on black, because then you can leave the black shadows underneath and work over the top. But you'll see here that the rest of my feathering is relatively fast. Fur and feathers is just hair strokes. And honestly, if it's a brown dog, you'll have lots of variations of brown. See in the blue there, I've got lots of different variations of blue. That's 3 different colours of blue I've just used. So don't forget to vary each colour, okay? And then you can't go wrong.